Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of UFO Undercover. I'm your host, Joe Montaldo. I hope everyone's having a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are on this big, beautiful blue planet. You know, I've been saying this for, God, now 24 years. Ain't nowhere else I want to be on Wednesday night but here. So, welcome, everybody. I'm going to introduce our guest in a few minutes. They're from the network, and some of y'all maybe know who they are, and some of y'all may not, but we want everyone on the show to get to know who they are, and I see the servers are full up nice. So, remember, if you're going to call us, guys, I'm trying to get y'all trained to the YouTube, courtesy of some of our other hosts bitch at me all the time. Why can't we all be on YouTube? So I know y'all love to set up these Facebook chat rooms, and I really like them. I'm not going to lie. But it is easier if everybody is in the YouTube chat room, which I'm opening up right now. So even you people over at Pal Talk, y'all can mosey on over to YouTube. You know, when I started this all them years back, I remember we had a chat room on Yahoo. That's how all this started. And I decided I wanted to move it to Pal Talk because Pal Talk gives you all these fancy controls and admin controls, and you can boot people and display stuff and play music and play video. I'm like, man, this is way better than Yahoo, and I don't have to deal with all the crazy Muslims from the Middle East raiding the rooms. So, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, if anybody writes to me, but back in the day on Yahoo, it was like Muslim heaven, and they were jihading all over the place. So everybody left them, but when we came to Pal Talk, it was great. You'd be surprised how many people from Fire Talk and from Yahoo, none of them wanted to come. They're like, no, I'm not leaving. It's ugly. It's blue. I'm like, come on, people. It's blue. That's your best reason for not coming over. It's blue. I'm like, give me a break here. But it is kind of cool that these days we have a good reach all over the place, and it's a lot of fun. And Marco, yeah, I seen that question. No, what do you mean? Yes, we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Also, too, I know we got a couple things coming up this year. I'm not sure how all this is going to pan up with the COVID on the loose still. So a few of my friends have gotten shots. A few have not gotten shots. Some of them are essential workers. Some of them are older. So it's kind of strange how this is all working out. But, and, you know, we said this on all the shows, and I'm going to reiterate it tonight. As a network, we don't tell you to get a shot or not get a shot. We tell you is if we would get one or not get one. And currently on this network, it's 50-50. About 50% of the hosts are going to get a shot when it's available, and the other 50 are not. Actually, the other 50 kind of put the finger up in the air. So I'm just saying that pretty much means no. But again, that's entirely up to you. All I can tell you is do your research and make the most informed opinion you can. There are several shows in this network that have talked about the ins and outs of those viruses and the vaccines, and there are several on other networks as well that you can go listen to and figure out if it's something you should do or not, if it's made for you or not. But tonight we're going to have the crew over from Chasing Prophecy, and I love these guys. They're on Thursdays at on my time. They're on 6 to 7 p.m. It's a good time slot. They're doing pretty well over there. I've been noticing their archives have been steadily creeping up, and their show numbers are going up every week. I should get over and check them out. And of course, if you're in the Northeast in the Pittsburgh area, or well, I should say the Pittsburgh area. Anyway, y'all know what I meant. If you're in the general vicinity, you might want to drop them a line and see. So we have Jennie, Jason, and Shawn with us tonight. We have Shawn, Jason, and Jennie. How do y'all want to do this? So we got JJS, right? We got JJS. So anyway, I'm gonna bring y'all on one at a time. Let y'all introduce yourself properly. Tell them how you got involved in this and why in the hell you wanted to do radio. But anyway, since I can see Jennie's face, we're gonna start with her first. give yourself a proper introduction.
Hey, good to be here, Joe, with you. Yeah, my name is Jennie Nicassio. I'm like one of the co-hosts of Chasing Prophecy. I'm also an author, and I write paranormal, aliens, ghosts, talking tree called Rocky. Yeah, I got started with this because of COVID. I was going crazy. I didn't know what to do. I got a brand new mic to promote my books, and I just, everybody's telling me, you have such a good speaking voice, radio voice. Why don't you try it? So I got online, started looking for someone to co-host a show with me. And I found Shawn Kelly, who's the founder of Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. And from there, we got Jason, and it's been really taken off, and it's a lot of fun. How's Shawn?
Yes, it is a ton of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, Shawn, you might go second.
Okay. My name's Shawn Kelly, and I'm the founder of the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. I've been in the business for over 30 years now. My day job is I'm a meat cutter for a grocery store, here in Pittsburgh. And why I like radio, I'm really grateful for Jenny for asking me to co-host the show, because since I've been on the show with her, our guest, I have learned so much that, I owe it to Jenny, because I never knew about really conspiracy theories, stuff like that. But paranormal is where I'm at. I love hunting ghosts. Yep. Jason?
What's up, everybody? This is Jason Sledgehammer Ianpietro. I got involved in the paranormal back in 2013 after firsthand experiencing poltergeist activity in my own home. I met Shawn through some friends when I was in some bands, and after the experiences here, I ended up joining his team, and I've been hooked on the paranormal ever since. During the day, I'm a welder, and I'm also a truck driver. Just get out there hustling just like everybody else. And then by night, paranormal investigators. I was in a couple bands, and which led to getting involved with the radio stuff. When I got asked to come on the show with Jenny and Shawn, I was like, this is going to be excellent, as I have experience from the past being in bands. And here we are today. Everything's going great, and we're having a lot of fun and looking forward to what the future beholds.
No, nice to have all three of y'all here. I'm glad. I love having y'all show. Y'all a lot of fun to listen to, and you seem like y'all got y'all's act together. It's and on a side note, which we won't get into too much tonight. We'll talk about that another night. But I kind of agree with y'all's politics. So, yeah. But anyway, that's beside the point of what's going on in the world right now. It is interesting, because if I had $1, if everybody said I started something new this year because of COVID, I could retire. I literally could retire. So many of my guests and other hosts and friends are like, I think I'm going to try this out. I mean, even I've taken the the Writers of the Future's writers course. I went through it once, and we'll go through it again. I've actually learned some stuff. I got to say, I didn't ever think I could even possibly write. Now I'm probably still going to get a ghostwriter to do the 2 books I got in mind, but it is nice that at least now I have an understanding of what the hell I was talking about. Because, people have been asking me to write books for 25 years now. So, and I'm like, really? I said, I can do it on audio and video all day long. Don't ask me to put it on paper, though. It's just, for some reason, when I write a paragraph, and even today, if I write a paragraph, it's going to be like disjointed. You'll see, or even if it's a page, there'll be sections missing because my brain works faster than my damn fingers.
That's my problem, Joe. That's what I have a problem with.
I'll go back and read it, and I'm like, jibber jabber, man, what happened here?
Do Audible. You can do it. You can do your own books on Audible. You go to ACX.
Well, somewhere on the network is a friend of mine, Acturian Star, who used to be one of our French director, matter of fact. She retired, but she did 2 years worth of interviews with me, about 200 hours of questions just for these 2 books. And somewhere, where's it at? Is it right here? Yeah, see, like right here? Mm-hmm. There's a complete outline of 2 different books in this pad, from the beginning all the way to the end. And they've been there. That one's probably a decade old. It might even be older.
Do it.
Oh, I don't know. Like I said, I'll probably end up hiring somebody to do it, or I might do a profit share with somebody to do it, because it's one of them things that it's even. I think I could actually write one now. It's just getting the time. And I have such. Yeah. I don't have any free time. Even with COVID I really thought with COVID I'd get some time off, get the F off a little bit. Oh no! First the hurricane comes, blows the station apart. So I'm dealing with contractors, and then I'm thinking, okay, I'm in a construction company, a maintenance company, construction company. Thinking, okay, I'm gonna be slow, Oh no, all of a sudden we're busy. I mean, you're shitting me, right? Which don't get me wrong, I'm not universe. I'm not complaining. Before you get any ideas, I'm happy we got work coming in. I don't want nobody to get the wrong idea, because I like to make money. Yeah. I just figured though, I would get a little rest and a little time off and get to chill out and not have to deal with it. But no, that ain't life. So between iCar, the station, and my day job, it's free time is just a fantasy thing. And the only thing I do is on Sundays, I promised my wife about 16 years ago, I said, I'll just cut everything off on Sundays. That's why we don't do shows on Sundays. And I've actually been offered big money to let people do shows on Sundays. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be divorced, because then, my wife gets half of everything and she don't have to work. And she's been tired, so I'd be just paying her for whatever reason.
You need a day off.
So we're working all that out. But so for y'all three, I know y'all do investigations on weekends and stuff like that, but y'all ever wander around like Manhattan, go over to New York, Staten Island? You know, a friend of mine just passed away 2 days ago on Staten Island. I think y'all need to go do an investigation and find her, because she's probably irritating the shit out the demons on the other side. Don't get me wrong now, look, people. I know y'all gonna get mad at me. A friend of mine, Stephanie, matter of fact, she used to host with me on a really good show we did on News on the Flip Side, but she used to be station manager for 4 years. And I can say she's a handful. Even for me, she was a handful. My wife used to get in another room and laugh. She goes, "What do you got? Second wife or something? What's going on here?" Because I mean, this woman would literally, we just getting screaming, hollering matches like you wouldn't believe. That was just ridiculous. But I mean, she had good ideas, and a lot of the stuff that her and I implemented back then is still around today. But all in all, she was a real pain in the butt. And I was just thinking, if she passed, if I know her the way I do, she's over there yanking ghosts by the head, dragging people, like, get out my way, I'm taking over. She liked to take over, man. She couldn't help herself. I used to tell her, I said, you do know I'm the guy that owns the place, right? You do understand that? You sure? I'm like, yeah, no, I own the place.
She's like, not now.
Oh, man, it was something else. I mean, she was a good friend, and it's a shame that, you know, she's gone because she was young. I mean, she's like 48, 49.
Oh, wow.
And for somebody like that to go, I was kind of like, wow. But again, I bet you Staten Island is seeing ghost activity like they've never seen before. Oh man,
Shawn, we got a road trip.
Yeah, no, Staten Island, but I also want to go down to New Orleans, Joe, because
you come on down anytime y'all want. I'll show you. Look, I will bring y'all to graveyards that will turn Jenny's hair black. I shit you.
Oh, scary.
This is way back in the swamp. We got to go like 12 miles back in the deep swamp where you're going to hear alligators growling and roaring and snoring and snorting and spitting, eagles flying over, little panthers walking alongside, big hogs walking all over. And right in the smack in the middle of that, you're going to find this pristine 300-year-old graveyard. Oh, pristine, still being taken care of today. Flowers out there, well manicured, benches to sit around in the park. Well, the majority of graves in this thing are all from like the mid 1700s, and there must have been like a flu or something, or maybe smallpox came through and killed a bunch of kids, because there's a bunch of graves in there that are about 1.5 feet to 2 foot long.
Yeah,
wow.
And they're all in a section. Yeah, they're definitely kids. So the very first time we ever found this thing, they said, let's go do an investigation. Like 10 of us, maybe 15 of us. We go out there and it's foggy from the waist down. Not from the waist up, just from the waist down. And only over the cemetery. I'm like, okay, we're going to leave this alone. So every time you would approach the grave, the fog was rolling. Like someone was blowing upward or something. It's just rolling. But we didn't realize it at the time. So the next day we went by and we noticed there was a piece of string hanging out the tree, what looked to be like a little white ghost. You know how for Halloween they'll make them little white ghosts? It looked just like that. And then right directly below that was a bottle of water on every grave.
Water.
To this day, I still do not know what it means. I have asked voodoo people, all kind of my friends that are in witchcraft and devil worship, and they're like, no, I've never heard of that. I'm like, well, it was something because it was there, and it was gone the next week. Whatever it was gone.
Well, I tell you what, you know, we might not know the answers to that, but I know the answer that you take us into swamps between me and Shawn, the gators aren't going to go hungry. I could tell you that.
And then they can just use Jenny for like toothpicks. Oh man, but no, I mean really, there's places y'all would really enjoy. I mean, and there's the old city. You know, people like, it's weird because now I don't know how to explain this. So, you know, we had Hurricane Katrina down here 16 years ago now. So when it came in, it inundated the whole entire area with salt water. So any ghosties or demons that were like in the Marigny and out in the Ninth Ward and out by the lakefront and all, kind of got pushed back to the city because they wanted to get out of the salt. Because I mean, we're talking serious salt water here. You know, 9 feet deep, nothing but salt.
Wow.
So, but the French Quarter itself, as we call it, the Vieux Carré, is above sea level. So it only got about 6 inches of water, and most of that was fresh water from the rain. So it seems like now the quarter was just right after, because there was no activity nowhere outside of the city. Nowhere. You could go in, and a good part of that outside the city is 200-300 years old. There was just nothing. It was like everything just left. But then we were hearing calls out of the city just by the tons. Now it seems like it's starting to trickle back out into the suburbs and move back outward again. But it was weird because we went and stood 5 days after the storm. We went and stood right outside the city in a really big neighborhood, really plush neighborhood, and stood on the street corner. It was so quiet it made your ears hurt. You couldn't even. There was not even insect noises. No birds. There wasn't any birds. We didn't see birds back in New Orleans almost 3 years after the storm. Yeah, squirrels took a while to come back. There was hardly no insects. It was weird, but there was parrots. They escaped one of the zoos.
Parrots?
Yeah, there was like 5,000 of them flying around. It was probably about 500, but they split up into 3 groups. But that was it. There was nothing else. It was weird. You'd pull up to this empty barren tree and it'd be like, is that parrots? Really? Come on, it's New Orleans. You've never seen parrots in a tree down here before. What the hell is that?
What if those parrots were in the trees making weird, like, ghostly noises? That would freak everybody out, huh?
Yeah. You know, there's what's his name's old house down here? Nicolas Cage's old house.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got. I watched him. It's way older than Nicolas Cage, but I've seen him in a couple of interviews talking about this house, and he's like, "Man, I don't want to get rid of it." He said, "But I'll be standing there sometimes looking up the stairs, and they said stairs goes up and it makes a right, and there'll just be someone standing. And I know there's nobody in my house because I'm in my house. The camera's on. There ain't nobody in my house but me." But this woman standing up there, and I'm thinking, "Oh, blank, blank, blank." And then he said, and he's talking about, well, the old lady comes walking in while this thing's standing up there. She's going to swear something's going on. It was freaky weird listening to him. But you hear that kind of stuff now. What you can do is catch a light buzz, walk in between the old slave quarters and the St. Louis Cathedral. Okay, now this is in the quarter itself. This is right up against the river. The cathedral's there, Jackson Square's there, and on both sides they used to sell and execute slaves. And also the ladies used to walk by in their long gowns. You know, there's a little trough cut in the street. It's about this wide, so the ladies could squat and lift their skirts and pee and keep walking. I'm serious. That's what it was there for. And the first time somebody told me that story, I was like 9. I looked at it on the ground. I was like,
Shawn, you got to try that out.
But they're still there even today, and they still use these drains today. I mean, it's just part of the, I guess, the savoir-faire of the city. And that's dueling oaks. We have 2 400-year-old oak trees where they used to duel under 100 years ago. Pistol duel and sword dueling. So there's always that.
That's fun.
You know, so you can go sit in there and watch. And you'll drive by there at night. And sometimes you'll be driving by. Me and my wife would come back. We went to go get some beignets. There's a beignet place in the middle of City Park that's open 24 hours. So you can go out in the middle of the park, 3 o'clock in the morning, have breakfast and watch all the weirdness going on. If we drive by the spot and I stop and I say, "What? Is there a light out there?" I back up the car. I don't see it. Then I pull up the car again. I see it again. Son of a bitch. I back up the car again. I'm like, pull up the car again. I see it again. I was like, all right, we're leaving. I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm out of here. I'm not a Ghostbuster. I leave that to people like y'all. I don't go Ghostbusting.
Oh, they scare us too sometimes.
I'll go. Don't get me wrong. I'll go with y'all. I like going out there and doing it. That's why I was out in the graveyard and all everybody. But yeah, I chase UFOs. I leave the ghost hunters to the pros, man. I just like to go out there and look at it and say, "Hey, Ghosty, what you doing?" Go see Shawn. Go bug Shawn. He's the ghost hunter. I'm not here to bust you, ghost. I'm just here to observe. What do they used to call him in Vietnam?
I don't know.
Objective observer. That's what I am. Objective observer. So Jenny, you got personal experience. You've been scared by a ghost or an alien?
Who, me? All the time.
Are you provoking these ghosties?
No, I just think they like me. No, there's a lot of dead people around here. I live on an Indian land. So I think that has something to do with it. And they just have, like Shawn and Jason call it portals. Well, I've seen a couple UFOs up here.
Oh, I bet you did if you're living on Indian land.
Oh, yeah. We saw a lot of them. And this used to be all farmland. It just till the last 10, 15 years, it used to be all farmland. Now there's houses up here, but I live on a cul-de-sac. And I think something happened because everybody on this cul-de-sac has bad luck of some sort. I mean, tragedies and divorces. It's scary.
I got some Indians buried under the ground there. It's something we find down here a lot. I can't speak for up north, but throughout the whole entire South, I have seen where we have mowed over graveyards. Well, the Superdome is technically still to this day swear it's buried on top of an Indian burial ground, built on top of one. And the Saints never could win. And then finally they talked some Indian to coming over there.
That's funny.
And doing a thing on it. And now they win. They've won the division 5 years in a row. Couldn't get to the Super Bowl because of Uncle Brady, but still. It's weird, but it happens a lot down here. So it's like the movie Poltergeist. They building shit over stuff, and they're not, instead of removing the graves, or at least pacifying whatever's there. No, that's just pounds them, and we have to put pilings in the ground down here to build. So we pile these big logs down in the ground and put our houses on top of them. Even the ones you can't see are still on top of pilings. So if there's graveyards there, we're pounding right through the graves. We're disturbing everything. It's just sad, and they don't seem to care. And then they found one Cherokee. They didn't even know they had gone in this particular area of our state. And one of the rivers was washing away the bank, and you could start to see all these elaborate graves and the bones and the different things in there. Well, of course, once the regular season, not the natives, but in people who lived in the town, they started grave robbing. There's all kind of stuff in there, jewelry and turquoise, and just arrowhead, just stuff you couldn't get anywhere else. So they just started graving, and then next thing you know, they started pulling it down, digging further in. See, where were the demons in? I should have said.
A lot of those demons out there.
Well, a lot of times you'll be okay with Indians if you make them like an offering. We actually had to do that here years ago because there's Indians all up in the woods, and we made them an offering of tobacco and fruit. Now this is crazy because it was like October, okay? So I took tobacco, sprinkled it out in the woods, telling them, hey, this is an offering for you. You please protect the property line and everything of that nature. Put some fruit out. Come springtime. Now this was October. Now come springtime, all the fruit that I placed up there was in the exact same spots, untouched and wasn't rotted. Now how does that happen?
That's cool. That's
some kind of weird.
The Indians were happy.
Yeah. The Indian love you long time. That's a good thing. I mean, that's I'm an advocate for Native Americans, and it's been a while now. I won't say a couple of years ago, but it's actually been about 20 years ago when I was asked to join the Cherokee tribe, and it's just so weird because I had not done my DNA until just recently. I get this letter saying, "Did you know you're at least 1/8 Cherokee or more, and that you're entitled to $2,000 a month?" Blah 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 blah.
No, I would take the $2,000.
So I'm like, okay. Well, at the time I was making really good money, so I was like, so they wrote to me, so I'm writing back. So I said, screw this. I I like to talk to people, so I get on the phone, I call him, and he said, yeah, we know who your grandmother was, and my grandmother was. My grandmother, by the way, was half Scottish, half Cherokee. Yeah, and she liked to drink. Yeah, Don't get me wrong, I love my grandmother to death, baby, but man, she had a temper, and she was just something else. But I'm like, well, I said, I'm interested, and you can put my name on the rolls. I said, but is there somewhere we can donate that money back to, at least until I pass, and then y'all can give it to my son, or whoever's alive at the time. And they're like, okay. And it was just weird. So because of that, I started really doing serious research, not just playtime research into Native American, but you can see the plight. Damn it, this camera! You can see the plight on the TV of Native Americans, but things in recent times that really aggravated me, or different races asking for reparations, other things. And so I really cracked down on Native Americans, and I realized, and I hate to say this on this show, but they don't really live that much better today than they did when we put them on the reservations 200 years ago or 250 years ago. And that really pisses me off because, we're going to talk about everybody else in our country and how shitty they're being treated. But we're not going to stop to talk about how poorly. I mean, these kids aren't even getting in school, so it just makes me crazy. And so I get out there and advocate for them. It's that, and we take on a lot of stuff like that, and it helps. It helps that we have a good variety of hosts on the networks, and we do have some Native Americans on the network, so it helps as well. But anybody that can help needs to help people, because if you've never been on a reservation, all I can tell you is go look for yourself. There's lots, and you know what's funny is there are a lot of them in the United States, way more than I ever thought. There just in Mississippi alone, there's like 9 that I know of. And there's 3 within a 15-minute drive of my house, and they're all over Louisiana, they're all over the South, they're all over the North, they're all over the country. And if you get up to places like Washington State, they own half the state, but yet can't even afford to put heat in their house. Can you imagine living in Washington State without heat, people?
No.
I mean. No. So anyway,
hey Joe,
they should be haunting the president.
The tribes up here up north.
I'm sorry.
The tribes up here, they're on reservation. they have casinos, man.
Yeah,
Do they have them down there?
They do. And it's funny how this works. They have casinos, uranium, and oil down here. So some of the tribes are pretty rich, and they do spread a lot of the money out. And everybody in a tribe can get a little bit. But if you don't actually work at the casino, or if you're not in a certain hierarchy of the tribe, you get trickled down. So you might get like $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, which is probably enough with some aid and all from the government that you could live. But some of them get good money, man. Some of them guys in the tribe getting $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 a month and stuff. And it's generating big money. One of the casinos is one not that far from here. The casino itself generates $11 million a month in pure profit over everything, pure profit. So I think there is 2,100 members of that tribe. So you can do the math, and almost all of them work at the casino. So it's they're and they're just, so their kids and all, they'll be raised different, and they'll see a different America, and they'll see a different world, and probably less discrimination. But when I go to places, especially on the heartland, and I go on a tribe on an Indian reservation, if those people go into town the way they are on their reservation, they get nothing but shit. Nothing. It's the same thing in New Mexico. They treat natives there just nasty. It's just New Mexico and Arizona both are, even Nevada's bad about it. To them, they just trash. And it doesn't even matter what status the Native American has, they still trash. If they're Native American, they're trash. I was like, okay, that's confusing. But it's hard, in this country, if you want to try to get up and make it. But here's a whole society inside of a society that seems to just get neglected on multiple levels. I mean, we would not allow this for any other group, even groups that have attacked us personally. We would not allow this kind of behavior to go on or to be treated this way. But for some reason, when it comes to Native Americans, we don't care. We consider them, well, they're not Americans. They have their own country. Yeah, bullshit. They live in the middle of our country. How can you say they got their own country? They're surrounded by us, man.
Yeah, right.
And there's a few 100,000, a few million. I mean, there's 350 million of us. Come on, they're badly outnumbered.
Well, they just figure they have their, like, a lot of people figure because they're living like on their own little, sort of like a compound, that they have their own police. They have their own. They don't have to pay taxes. Isn't that right? They don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, some of them don't. Depends. It's weird how that works. It depends where you at and how you go. And then there's tribes are set up. The land is like, there's some land that's subsidized by the Fed. So if you're living on that, you get the land for free, but something you got to pay back. I forgot how that worked. But and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know this, there is still free land in the United States. Did y'all know that? You can actually go get land in the United States for free. And you can actually still squat land in the United States.
Yeah. Oh, squat on your property.
So I watched these cases in California just recently where these illegals had come in and taken over these condos and redone them and did them actually pretty nice too. We had been there for 3 or 4 years when the owner found out and came to throw them out. And the judge said, they had squatters' rights. They had been there long enough because he didn't know it, that they had to let them have it. They worked out some kind of payment plan, but he couldn't throw them out. I was like, what? I would have took a shotgun. It would have been no going to no judge. There would have been no judge involved in this. There may have been some police officers, but there would have been no judges involved. I was like,
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy about squatters? Like, you could totally stay somewhere and they can't kick you out.
It's weird how that works. It really is. And we're into, we do a lot of realty stuff and a lot of rental stuff down here, especially with a bunch of the companies we work for. And you'd be surprised the stuff judges will let renters get away with. And, because people always think when they see someone like an owner, they're all rich. Well, that's not true. Not all owners are rich. A lot of them are just trying to get along in the world. They might have 5 or 6, 7 rental properties. They're trying to keep them decent, but they're not making any real money off of them. And, these people just all think to the judge, well, you're rich. You don't need the money. Like right now you don't have to pay your rent. I can't tell you how many of my customers, it wouldn't be for PPE. They'd probably already been out of business. And then, of course, if they went out of business, the bank would foreclose and they would throw all the people out because, they foreclosed on the property. They can legally do that. Or you can go in and say something like, oh, you destroyed my property, get out. But they had better tore something up, or the judge is going to get on you. So there are loopholes in this law, but, I'm just want to tell you, y'all need to learn how to catch these ghosts and train these boogers. See, we could send them over like de Blasio. Think about it. Send one over to Como, one over to de Blasio, send one over to Biden. Biden would probably flirt with it, but still.
No, not to talk political, but did you guys see that I don't know if he was getting another injection or something, and he started to flirt with the nurse?
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's what I'm saying. He'd be flirting with the ghost. Oh yeah.
He was this the same one? Because I thought that was a different one. This is the same one?
Wait, no, which one? I know there was.
It was just on yesterday.
Yeah, he was flirting
sniffing
with
her hair.
Oh, and he said, what did he tell her?
Oh, that must be Pantene Pro.
He said you just got out of school or something. Or are you still in college? Or you just got out of college or something?
Yeah, are you a freshman?
And the woman looked at him like, no, I've been a nurse for 8 years. What are you talking about? I was like, oh my God, how does this guy get... Anyway, our God, anytime I see him, I'm like, really?
Well, you know what pissed me off, Joe?
That's what legal marijuana does. That's all I'm just saying. No,
I wonder if he's looking for like his favorite shampoo smell in somebody's hair. Like, is this Tresemme or
he likes Trell.
I'm scared because I have long hair. If I ever get around, I can sniff my hair.
He was the news. The press lady. I don't know her name. The redhead. She was making fun of Space Force.
Well, he said he's going to keep it, so she might as well get off of it.
I like Space Force.
Biden said the other day, because when he's doing all the executive orders, he was asked. He said, "No, we're keeping Space Force," because unfortunately, whether they may not like the name of it, but we do need a space presence.
Kind of good.
We don't have a choice, especially now that Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and the people from Sierra Nevada and Boeing and Lockheed are all putting private spaceships in space. Yeah, we need a presence up there.
Well,
shit's gonna happen.
Definitely. Yeah, I think because there's a lot more sightings out there and a lot more disclosures that are coming, and they have to.
But it's even simpler than that, because 5 of these companies, Jeff Bezos stepped down from Amazon because he wants to build spaceships like Elon Musk is doing. That's what he wants to do. And a bunch of these companies in a couple of these countries want to start putting tourists. Jeff Bezos, along with Elon, both said by the end of 2027, they want to be able to put you in space in a hotel for the cost it would cost you to fly from New York to LA and stay for a week. He said that's what they're going to do. So if you're going to do that, and you're going to have all these rocket launches going and all these different platforms up there in different countries with different platforms, no, you need somebody up there keeping the peace, because sooner or later, somebody's going to F up.
And you need a casino in outer space.
Oh, yeah. I can see that now. That'd be our kind of game. It won't be the Mile High Club anymore.
I'll trade you this meteorite for that asteroid.
Definitely. Casino gambling on Space Force.
You say, we're members of the Mile High Club. We're going to have to get on this and go up even higher. I'm like, dude.
Well, Joe, let me ask you, what was the most spectacular UFO show that you've ever had? Was it Betty and Barney? That kind of stuff?
The one that's got the highest ratings was me talking about an experience that happened to my wife, my son, and myself in Gulf Breeze, Florida in the late 90s. Yeah, we lost 11 days. So
okay.
Even MUFON got scared when this was such a weird thing. We went down there. We were going on vacation. We were not actually going for the first time. I couldn't tell you how long. We weren't going UFO hunting. I said I was making a lot of money at the time. I was really, my wife was working for Tanti. She was managing an entire block of about 1,500 units for them in 9 different properties, and I was handling over 60 different properties. So we was really making money. I said, you know what? Let's just pack up. And I said, we'll put 10 grand in the bank for that, and we'll take 10 grand in cash. And this is the 90s, people. That's like 100 G's today. And I will just take off and go spend, take 9, 10, 11, 12 days and just tour down the panhandle of Florida and see what we can get into. Very first day we there, we check into the Sand Dunes Hotel, and guess who's there filming Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, wow.
So we get to talk with the crew, and the guy says, I recognize you from somewhere. Are you on the internet? And started laughing. Yeah, a little bit. Back then, it was just a little bit anyway. And but he recognized me from a photo at MUFON. And so he said, yeah, we're going to look at this on the bridge tonight. I'm like, really? So we all go out to the bridge. There's 400 people on this bridge, right? We're sitting there. The mayor's out there. The police chief's out there. Unsolved Mysteries out there. The local newspapers. All kind of people out there. And you hear this little kid. He's like 9. You see the green thing in the water? He's hanging over the bridge, and his dad screaming, "Come here, boy, come here!" Trying to keep his kid about to fall in the water. So everybody jumps over to the other side and looks, and you see this deep, deep emerald green. It's pulsating probably 50, 80 feet underwater. And it's headed straight for the bridge. And I'm like, okay. And then I noticed it was headed for the channel. So it pops in the channel, it goes underneath our 2 bridges, then it goes under the other 2 bridges, then it goes out past the train trestle line and stops. It comes out of the water. It hovers about 80 feet, maybe 100 feet out of water. And it's dripping this, looks like molten gold just dripping off the bottom. Untold Mystery got all this on tape, by the way. They weren't the only ones. There were several people out there running film when this happened. It just came out there. We're all just sitting there going, what the? Obviously, it's not ours. Nobody's seen anything like this. And it was so weird because really, literally, it's 400 people there. You could have heard a freaking pin drop. Even the cameras running in the background because it was an old, I forgot what they call them, cameras, but they go when they're going. I mean, they sound like they were unbelievably loud. And then, poof, this bitch was gone. I mean, it was everything. Everybody was just like, what the happened here? We were just all just stunned. So I was like, everybody's talking about it. They took statements from everybody and all of this. And I said, well, you know what? I said, this was interesting. We checked out in the morning. We went down to the next hotel and we spent a day down there where we ended up getting I don't want to say attacked by dolphins, but battered by dolphins. They like to run up between you. And they were playing is what they were doing, but they're kind of big when they're playing with you. And so we stayed in and we went to another place, stayed in there, and we decided we're going down to a place called Opal Beach, which is in between Santa Rosa Isle, Pensacola, and Navarre Beach, where Eglin Air Force Base is. And Eglin's huge. It's 884 square miles. It's a massive base. So we pull into the place, we check in. I said, look, I'm going to stay for at least 8 or 10 days. I said, here's some money. And I said, if I decide to stay long, I'll just come by and see you and give you some more money. And so we check in. I think I told you 10 days. But anyway, we check into the place. Me and my wife and the kid went out on the beach. We were hanging out on the beach. And all I remember is, now I remember more, but the gist of it was I was standing on the beach. My son was standing about 75 yards between us. And she was standing about 75 yards past him, which he was 3 at the time. There's no way we'd even let that much distance get between us. And then I don't remember anything. So I come back. I guess we got put back. And I go to the hotel. And I said, we're going to stay a couple more days. She said, where you been? I said, what do you mean where I've been? I said, it's like a day. I told her, because it was only like a day for me. So I was like, next morning. I said, no, we're just going to go ahead and stay the whole 12 days. She said, you've been here 11 days. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you've been here. We were getting ready to call the police because we didn't know what happened to you. Wow. I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, well, you paid me for 10 and you said you might come back. And she said, y'all checked in. She said, you look at the cameras. You never left your room. Your car never moved. And you know what? When I looked at my credit cards, nothing had been charged on our cards. We had spent no cash. There was no miles in the car because it was a rental. And I was like, and I said, well, what day is it? And when she said it, it took me, I'm not kidding you, almost 2 years for this to really sink into my head. And we were friends with Walt Anders at the time because we were doing research for MoveOn. So my wife called him and told him, he said, well, send it over in writing. So she wrote the whole thing, everything that we could remember. And earlier that night, and something I forgot to mention, when we were on the beach, and this is when this all started. So we're watching these guys. I got this big pier that goes way out in the Gulf. And we're watching these guys on this pier. And we couldn't see it. We're looking at it. So what the hell are they looking at? And because the guy's bending way over the thing inside. So all of a sudden you see what looks like somebody took a big glow stick and threw it out in the water. It was Buzz Green, by the way. It was just bobbing, like it was bobbing in the water. I was like, well, it's got to be a glow stick or something. All of a sudden you see these two guys just take off. And I mean, they screaming like little girls getting ready to get their asses beat. So I mean, they are screaming. And I'm like, what the? And that's it. And that's when I looked over and it was like, and I seen my son and my wife, and that was the end of those memories. It wasn't until 2 years later I did a passive hypnosis of Linda on our couch. To be honest with you, we got high and it just worked out that way, and some stuff leaked out. So at that point, we both went to school to learn how to be hypnosis, and both got degrees in hypnosis and learning and teaching. So. And then we spent the next couple of years trying to recover some of the memories. And we recovered a lot, but I got to be honest with you, I've never recovered 11 days worth, ever.
What kind of memories did you recover?
Oh, man, we recovered all kinds of stuff. First off, we remembered why the guys were running, because whatever this thing was lifted up out of the water and went on top of the pier. You could actually see it. Whatever this craft was came out of the water. And they just, well, later on, we're inside this building, which obviously it's not a spaceship. It's obviously like a military base of some sort because it's double swinging doors and cinder block walls. And we see this one room, and there's all these people sardine packed in there, like in a line, like an S line. And I noticed the two guys we had seen on the pier were both in the line, just in a daze. stunned, dazed, whatever, just standing there. So I'm sitting there. I'm sitting in his chair, and Lynn's sitting there talking to her. And she's freaking out because we don't know what the hell's about to happen. So what people commonly call the redheaded doctor came in and escorted her. And I said, well, I ain't going down. And for some reason, they let me walk behind him. And we walked through these two stainless steel swinging doors. And in there was a big round circle. And it was stirrups. I think it was either 8 or 10 sets. So there was stainless steel seats with these stirrup connections. So each one had a woman in it, and he was going around doing an exam and getting ready to remove these preemie babies, 3 months maybe. So when they would implant them, then they would remove it, and then they had some kind of thing they gave you that reversed, so it would look like you weren't pregnant anymore. Like it was never there. Even
these are memories that you.
Oh yeah, these are memories. Yeah, we were watching all this, and the only reason I remember that part is because he was explaining it to what appeared to be like a 5-foot gray. Was just walking around behind him, and the gray was like just kind of nodding, like, yeah, I already know this dumbass human. Whatever he was wasn't actually human. He was probably some type of hybrid. And I can't tell you how many women and even men have described this redheaded doctor. It's weird because sometimes his hair is red, sometimes it's ginger, sometimes it's orangish red. But she's always like 6'2" or 6'3". He's always got a mask on his face. He's always in scrubs with a white jacket on. It's such a right out of a horror novel thing.
And Linda had the same. She had the same memory.
Yeah, she had the exact same memory.
Was she pregnant or anything at the time?
My son was 3, and she had her tubes tied when Joe was born.
Wow.
Because she had other kids from her first marriage. And,
did your kids have any? Were they there with you? Did they have any memory of
it? None of them were with us, and which all of them were. At the time, my son was 3, which would have made my 2 youngest stepdaughters maybe preteen, and my oldest 2 stepkids would have been in their early 20s, maybe. Which they are all contactees, and they've all they've been taken. But that's one thing in the family. We always let them find out for their own. It's not even something we really talk about the kids unless something happens to them. Because it's better. It's because you don't want to. It's not something you want to push on kids. Like anything. It's like anything that's not of the norm. You want to give the kids a chance to develop normal without having to think, oh, well, aliens are coming to get me, or something along those lines. Well, it's true. It's
my son thinks there's aliens coming to get him.
Oh, man, I can't tell you how many kids had told their mom, come get the damn gray or my little gray friend out of my room. He's bugging me.
Oh, God.
Well, when they're young, the aliens, they seem to get along fine.
Oh, no, my son was terrified. He was terrified. He said he saw something come in his room when he was like 5 or 6 years old, and he's taken it to his adulthood. I mean, he's truly thought that he hates the room, and happens to be the same room that I'm working in, and he will never stay in this room. He hates it. So I believe kids can get screwed up. But Joe, you do know that there are like a lot of people. There's a lot of shows about UFOs, but in the ocean, that they're in the bases in the ocean, and they come out of the ocean.
Yeah, we've got currently right now I think ICAR has almost 60,000 cases on file, abduction cases on file, and there's a lot of other stuff like underwater UFOs and other kind of UFOs because we defer most UFO stuff to other investigators from other organizations because mainly you're never going to get to the truth chasing lights in the sky. Stephen Bissett gets so mad at me when I say that, but it's true. You're never going to get to the truth chasing lights in the sky. Short of shooting down a thing and pulling the gray out of crap, and then people are just going to think it's Hollywood anyway, you're not going to get to the truth that way. The only way you can get to the truth is either get direct evidence from the government, because even contactees, even though they're great sources of evidence, they're easy for people to say they're lying. So you've got to get enough evidence that you can show people a progression, and that's what we've done. We've actually shown how this starts pre-childhood and runs through life. But the blood type studies and the DNA studies are more convincing than anything. Because we've now proven that this group of people, for the majority, have different colored eyes and different type of blood.
And was it O negative?
O negative. And it's just RH negative in general. RH negative in general makes up about 67% of every abduction case this organization has. Altogether in this study, more than 160,000 contactees from 70 countries took it. It's still there's a poll on right now. I think it's just a free poll, but it's up there. I think it's almost 60,000 have taken it, and it still shows the same thing. Only one organization out of all the research organizations said O positive was the blood, which was free, and I know why, because everybody over there was O. But
I got
but
positive.
for every
I
other
too.
organization in
I'm
the
O
world,
negative.
yeah, and see, they
Oh,
love
see,
O
we know it. You know, Shawn's half alien. We know that.
Well,
Yes, I gotta be.
well, look at it from a different point of view. So the human aliens may have been A, okay, and they probably were positive, and then the reptilians might have been B, and they might have been positive. When the Greys came along, they must have been positive and negative, and introduced O negative, because O negative. This is
Very
what people
rare.
freak out about when I go to lectures or I'm doing speaks about this, and I say, for 2 million years, man only had brown hair, brown eyes, and positive blood. And people look at me like, what are you, stupid? No, actually, I got a pretty good education. I'm not really stupid. And they're like, well, I don't understand. You're not making any sense. I said, okay, Rh negative came on the scene 35,000 years ago, 25 to 35. They're not even exactly sure when it was. For no reason, nobody knows why it came along. It just came along. But before that, everybody was positive blood. Whether they were A, B, or O, anybody can argue about, but still, everybody was positive blood. And for the most part, everybody had brown hair and brown eyes. That was our world. Brown skin, brown hair, brown eyes. And then that was the world. And then out of the blue, for some reason, somebody introduced Rh negative. And guess what happened? We had mutations. And then we ended up with green-eyed people and blue-eyed people. And I'm going to tell y'all a little secret, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to believe me on this. It's easy for y'all to check this out. If you watch TV, you watch the percentage of people who have blue and green eyes. Or just, I'll make it even easier. Other than brown colored eyes, watch the TV and see how many people have other than, and then better yet, watch how many politicians do. Mm-hmm. You're going to learn a little lesson there. Entertainers especially tend to have colored eyes. A lot of politicians do. A lot of world leaders do. And you got to wonder why. And almost half the presidents of this country had Rh negative blood. There's something about the group that seems to be way more aggressive. And I don't mean in a let's blow up the world kind of aggressive. I mean aggressive in the way they present themselves and the way they think we should be moving in the world. They're looking at moving us on, moving us out and away from stuff and trying to help give us a better planet. And in a general, in a whole, they work. But unfortunately, even if you got good politicians, you still got evil ones.
Oh, yeah.
We got a Congress full we need to get rid of people, and then I don't know how young we can get rid of. I'm going to tell y'all this again, ladies and gentlemen. I've said this 100 times, and I get in trouble every time I say this. It's never your politician that's the bad guy, but you know what? It really is your politician that's the bad guy. You need to get rid of them. Okay, who you are, people? Get over it.
Well, I think they're superior.
No. Look, if it was up to me, there'd be term limitations on every damn thing.
Yeah.
Not just our country, in all countries.
Well, even like we're talking about the blood and COVID. They did studies that COVID doesn't really affect people with O positive blood and O negative.
I still don't want to find out.
Yeah. Well, it's weird stuff because it's a weird thing, but that type of blood seems to be resistant to several things besides just COVID. And then when you get into South America, actually, I'm sorry, Central and South America, 98% of everybody down there is O blood. It's the only place in the world that's found like that. So you've got almost 1 billion people in one area with the same blood. It definitely means they're closely related. They have different skull sizes down there and different shapes of skulls in South America. And they seem to have a relentless amount of contact going on down there, both present and past. The only place I can even rival that would be the Middle East. And I believe both the Middle East and South America probably came from the same place, Atlantis. When Atlantis sunk, some probably went to the Middle East, some probably went to America. That's why you've got what you've got. And it would explain why you see, the land bridge never made sense. So you came across land bridge, then you went all the way to the bottom of South America, and then came back up and then built these vast civilizations that rival the Egyptians and the Sumerians. But yet, when you get to America, there's a bunch of crazy people running around with no real organization whatsoever. But you had these vast civilizations in South America and in Central America. It's confusing to me, man. Like, I'm missing something. Obviously, I'm missing something here. So what it looks like to me is the South American and Lower Central America people probably came from Atlantis. The North American, because people forget Mexico is part of North America, probably came across on the land bridge. And that's why we have two different mixes and different groups of blood here, because Atlanteans probably were all, because they were one closed society, probably were all the same blood type or close to the same blood type, which would make total sense to me. Because if it was started out as a family or two families, if they all had the same blood, it would just make sense. The only other thing left for us, and by the way, this study is going on right now. We are studying the percentage of O's in the Middle East, actually in Persia, what would have been considered Persian Egypt back in the day, is what we're checking. And we find that it's a little bit higher than normal too. So we'll see where it all leads to.
Well, don't you think the Sumerian are the ones, they're from outer space, and they're the ones who, the Sumerian race are alien, and that they're the ones who populated the earth? That's what I think.
Okay. Well, I'll help you with that. Look here. The Sumerians actually have a story about this. So the Sumerians themselves were slaves, is what they were. Mm-hmm. The species that's here today, or was here then, were slaves. So by their own writings, they said this race came to our world. That's their words. It came to our world, and they built 2 great white dome cities. They were dome cities. And the reason they were domed is because for some reason or another, the aliens that came first couldn't breathe our atmosphere. Obviously, they weren't native here. They maybe came somewhere like a Venus atmosphere, a different type of atmosphere, but nothing like ours. They said they created a race of beings that could go out and mine the planet, take care of the planet, colonize the planet. Well, this race said, well, wait a minute. We're omnipotent super beings. Why the hell are we digging ditches? This is not working for us. So they created what the Sumerians called the 7 creations of man. And being us, not us particular, but the first version of us was the last creation. This was they looked a lot like us, a little bit shorter, a little bit stockier. They could do things like procreate. They could name the animals, platypus. They sounded a lot like Adam and Eve when you listen to the stories. And I mean, in the same aspect of what their thing was. Now, in Adam and Eve, what gave Adam or gave Eve the knowledge was a serpent, a reptile. Gave her the knowledge. It gave her knowledge. She became self-aware. She's like, shit, I'm standing here naked. Get the hell out of here, man. No wonder I'm cold. So she became self-aware. Long short, but in the Sumerians, it's the same thing. So the Sumerians talk about the reptilians the Nemo reptilians from the Dogon used to come and steal their women and rape them and bring them back. And these women would have children. Those children were born different. Well, the first time I heard this story, I thought they meant maybe they were deformed, had reptilian faces, but that's not what it was. They were born self-aware. They were not going to be slaves. So as that group started to grow and mature, they rebelled and they took Samaria back. And it's actually written about quite a lot. That is the original creation of us. That was the first creation of us before the Greys interfered in our damn DNA. And we know this because every human alive today has a what in the middle of their brain? A reptilian section. And it's a very important section. It's important that makes you who you are. Without it, you would just be a sheeple.
What?
Without it, you'd be a sheeple.
I have a reptilian thing in my head.
Every human alive has a reptilian section in their brain. Every human alive. So, because a lot of signs, we evolved from reptiles. Well, maybe we did. But regardless, we definitely have it in there. And the Sumerians
Shawn, do we have a reptilian part in our brain?
I don't think so.
Oh yeah, it's science fact. Unfortunately, for all of us poor humans.
Well, you were looking pretty scaly this weekend.
I have to go look that up on Google.
Yeah, it was scaly.
It's kind of funny because when we first started getting into all this stuff, people were like, "Oh man." One of the best ways to find is look under our 3 brains, but because there's the right and lower hemisphere, the left and right hemispheres. But the reptilian brain is the primal brain. It's really what makes us who we are. Without it, I'm telling you, we'd be sheeple. It's what makes us like, what did you say to me, asshole? No, I don't think so. You're not talking to me like that. Or it's the thing that makes you go out and pull for that extra money.
Oh God, he's right.
Oh yes, I know my science.
Our reptilian brain includes the main structure found in the reptile's brain, the brainstem and the cerebellum. The limbic brain emerges in the first mammal. Oh my God, this is so crazy. It can record memories of behaviors that produce agreeable and disagreeable experiences. So it is responsible for what are called emotions in human beings. Well, Joe, I do apologize.
That's okay, sweetie. But I'm telling you, most humans don't know this. It's one of the reasons
didn't know that we had a reptilian brain. If anybody knew that we had a reptilian brain, please call Joe.
They it's one of the things we research. And I'm look, the first time I heard this too, I'm with y'all, by the way, I was like, what? It's like the first time somebody told me they were abducted by aliens, which is the reason I got into this field. I was like, you did what? Wait, what? This was a very reasonable, very well-mannered, very well-educated woman with degrees out the yin-yang, big job, big career. And she said, "Oh, well, aliens took me." I was like, "You're fucking crazy. You know, aliens took you." And then for some reason, out of the blue, people would just start coming and telling me I was taken by aliens. I'm like, what?
No, I believe you were taken by aliens because I think because I lose time all the time.
Well, I'll tell you some other little secrets and you can help round it out. Do you ever get like you're just sitting on the couch or laying in the bed or sitting in the car or even doing radio and you start getting this antsy, weird feeling? Sometimes for different people, it manifests in different people. A lot of places for a lot of people don't manifest in the stomach, but some people it manifests as anxiety, energy, or tapping a foot, or they can tell when they're
like
coming.
I was insane today.
They can sense it. They can sense ahead of time. Well, it makes people anxious because they can sense them coming.
What about this feeling where you're sitting and all of a sudden it feels like your sound, it feels weird, your ears, the sound goes in and then it comes out. Did you ever hear something like that? It's like you like.
I've heard people describe it as like pressure on the ears or popping of the ears.
Well, it's not really a popping because it sounds like there's something. It feels like all of a sudden you actually feel out of. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the sound waves penetrate your head, your ear, from one ear to the other and back. I can't explain it.
You're not talking about. You're not talking about when like your ear goes deaf for a second, are you?
It sounds sort of like that, but you're really not. You lose hearing in that ear.
Because when you lose hearing, that's actually hairs on your eardrum that I think they die off.
Oh, great! My ears are drying.
What?
Okay, I guess I'm losing my hearing now.
I can't.
Might as well. Everything else is going.
Claudia just wrote in from Australia and asked if, well, that's the reason my husband's an asshole because he's a reptilian. I don't know if that's why, baby. I mean, there may be other reasons. He's a man, so there could be other reasons. Let's just be honest about this now.
Oh, wow.
I was told I have a personality of a snake, and I don't think that's that's a good thing. So, who knows?
I don't know who the rule is going to rule the world.
With snakes,
I'm planning on going to Mars with Elon Musk. Him and I cut a deal. I was like, Elon, look, buddy, whatever it takes, baby, I'll send you whatever you need. And I have the drugs sent to your house, the women, whatever it takes. But just send me to Mars.
What I wanted to ask you. Were you doing any drugs 9 years ago or 15 years ago?
I would have been. And it's not, by the way, in case somebody says, oh, Joe was not approved. Joe was bad when he was young. But in this particular case, no, I wasn't. I had my son with me. So.
And it hasn't happened since?
Oh, no, there's lots of things that happen. Like, I'm in the same town. This is about 5 years later. I was actually there on a case this time. So this couple, they kept telling me about these abductions they were having. It sounded like something that happened to us. So I said, you know what, we're going to go down and talk to them. So we go have dinner with them. We had a late dinner. Mm-hmm. And the girl, it was a high-end restaurant. And the guy was just wanting to impress us. And so the girl came around taking pictures, like they do in the old days. Yeah, people with a flash on the camera and shit. If you're a Z-Gen or a millennial going, huh? Anyway, you didn't use a phone, I didn't use a phone. Whoever wrote that was just stupid. Anyway, they took the picture. And, we're all really dressed nice. And the ladies are in dresses, the guys are in suits and clean shaven and pretty and everything. So we had dinner. I go home. I go to the hotel at night. We're going to plan on going out the next day to some of the sites where they had experiences. So about 6:30 in the morning, I get this phone call. And this chick is just panicking, freaking, screaming, crying. I'm like, what the? So I'm stumbling around the place, finally get dressed, run over there, right? So I get there. I said, what's the matter? She walks out. This was just weird. She looked like the dragon lady or something. She comes out in shorts, right? She had more hair on her legs than I had on my head. And back then, I was like, what? And he comes out, he's got a beard like this. And the night before, he's clean shaven, completely clean shaven. She had shaved legs. She was in stockings. I mean, you can see clearly in the picture. And so I said, well, let's go see the doctor. We went to the emergency room. We're talking to the doctor, and he didn't believe it. So I showed him the picture because it was time date from the night before. I said, it wasn't taken by us. It was taken by the lady at the restaurant. You can ask her. And he's like, well, I don't understand rapid hair growth. I don't even know what even caused this. And he said to go see the specialist. And they went seeing all kind of people. So I let him do all of that first. So finally, I get this call. I said, Joe, we're exhausted on this. I said, why don't y'all come down to New Orleans? We'll go out and have dinner. And then we'll do some hypnosis and see what we can find out. They were going for 3 weeks. 3 weeks is how long they were going for. And it was only a 12-hour period. You can't even call it missing time because no one knew they were missing. Because we left them probably 11:30. They went home, did their thing, went to bed. And 6:30 in the morning, I get the phone call. So 6 hours, 5 hours, how many ever? 3 weeks. And because of another case in that same frickin' town, we found out about gain time. This when we realized that missing time was slowly but surely being pushed out by the aliens, because they realized that a lot of the researchers figured out what it was. It was a way to track things. We got this case. So we go and get this case. So the couple went out and parked in Navarre Beach right next to Eglin. There's a place we told them where we went and seen regular things. So they went out there. They park on the beach. They get out the car. They walk to the beach. They sit on the beach, enjoying the evening. Best they can tell, nothing happened. Okay. Seen some weird stuff, but yeah, nothing. They go back, get in the car. They go back to the hotel. Well, they left their hotel. They stopped at the convenience store. Then they went to the beach. And then they left, went back to the hotel. That's it. In the hotel, you can see from where they were at. So I get this weird phone call, and she's like, Joe, I got a ticket for 10:30 at night when I was in my hotel room at 10:30. She said, and when I called law enforcement, because, we thought it was a prank or something, because they found it tucked between the seats of their car. They had one of those middle consoles in there. Yeah, so they found it tucked in there. Mm-hmm. So she's like, there's something just odd about this. And somebody told me, I said, all right, well, I'll look into it. So I called the policeman. I'm talking to him. He said, no, the car was there at 10:30. So I went to the hotel and I called the cop. I said, no, the car is clearly not there. It's at the hotel. I said, they didn't leave the hotel 11 o'clock. I said, look at the camera. The car's there at 10:30. It's not where you're saying it is. I said, at that time, it was sitting in the hotel and they were there. And you could clearly see them walk out, get in their car and leave. And then at 11:03, 11:04, the convenience store clerks had them changing shift. And so 4 different clerks seen them because they were working. Florida requires you wear two all night. So we're like, well, we got them here. And then they go to the beach and they park in that spot. It's about 11:30. That's what they said. Somehow or another, they got taken and put back an hour early.
Oh,
that's weird.
So, but in the hypnosis, it was like 16 hours they were gone. So it's weird now. It seems like the end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s, especially the Grays, figured out that ufologists had figured out a way to find cases. And so they decided, you know what, no more missing time. It's worse than that, though, little shits. Well, we always use cover memories to find things, and cover memories is a bad thing. Trigger memories is a better word. But what they've done now is say Jenny was pregnant and she had her favorite place. She used to like to stop every morning, maybe get something really nasty to eat, a hot dog or something like that, right? So she does this every morning religiously. So all of a sudden, one day she's going to work like she always does. She's not pregnant anymore. She's going to work, and she has this memory of stopping at this hot dog stand and just pigging down, right? Thinking, why did I do that? I'm not pregnant anymore. But the hot dog stand is closed. So how in the hell are you picking down at a closed store? These are where ET makes their mistakes, but they use looped memories now. So not cover memories anymore. So they'll take something that's mundane, sitting on the couch like you like to write. So they may just make loop a memory of you writing. You're not going to question that. As far as you're concerned, that's a natural memory. You're not going to question it. Unless something odd sticks out in it or they made a boo-boo, you're never going to question that memory. They've gotten really sophisticated with this. That's why we needed things like the blood type and DNA study to help us track down contactees, because they get more and more sophisticated and it makes it harder and harder to find. And when you get memories that you're not going to challenge, it's hard to, you're like, what? Well, no, that's natural.
Don't you think they could be false memories too?
Well, they can be, but they don't really need them anymore. That's what I'm saying. If as long as a person is an active individual, they're going to have things they do like driving to work or getting the kids ready, something they repeatedly do that your mind is not going to challenge. So instead of putting this elaborate, cover memory in there, they just loop one of your personal memories, and you don't challenge personal memories. Nobody does. And in the 22 years that we figured out this started happening, to this date, have had no one challenge their personal memories. The only reason we've even found out is because they make mistakes sometimes. They make boo-boos. Like the lady at the hot dog stand was closed. Or the cop, the ticket was an hour before they left. I mean, that's a big boo-boo. You can't hide that kind of shit. So or when they put the wives back at the wrong houses. That was crazy.
So do you think, like, for example, there's been like multiple occasions where I'd be like driving for an extended amount of time, and then I'll get somewhere. And then I totally like, how the hell did I get here? Like, I don't remember this drive at all, as hard as I can think about it. Do you think that they play a factor in something like that? Like, just trying to test the waters?
Well, for you, more than likely, see, because what happens with abductions is they start pre-birth, and they run through your entire life until either you're no more useful or your kids have become more useful. And that's kind of a cold way of saying it, but it is really the truth. They started way back when, abducting, probably 100,000 years ago or more. And that original, whatever that original group was, today probably numbers 1 billion, billion and a half, maybe even 2 billion. So they abducted there. So in your case, you were probably taken young. Now, just probably incentives, things that pushes you to go out. One of the first things we tell people, if you have an interest in ghosts, demons, weird religions, vampires, anything out of the norm, you're already 50% on your way to being a contactee.
Oh God,
Because
I guess
all
I'm
of
off.
them did. I've never met a contactee
I'm
today
ready
that
for
did
it.
not have this interest in
Shawn, you already
weirdnesses.
got probed.
So like y'all are already halfway there, and then there's other factors that fall in. But you can tell a lot of times because parents would have been getting taken, kids would have been getting taken, your kids will get taken. And if you make it easy on them, because we had for a long time through the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s, we kept getting these cases where people would call us, Joe, I got extra 1,000 miles on my car. What the hell? I got sand in my car. People were actually setting up cameras. They would find themselves sleepwalking, getting in a car, driving to the beach, getting taken, getting back in the car and driving back home. I'm like, what the hell is this about?
That's so
And this
bizarre.
went on for a while. Then we find out that in Pensacola, thanks to Pensacola, that they do mass abductions in Pensacola. So, and probably that thing that happened to me in my life was probably part of one of them. So they call people there. They go on their vacation. They go spend 7, 8, 9 days. Ever since we published this originally 20 years ago or 18 years ago, we've had lots of people who have written to us saying, we spent a week down there and didn't spend any money. How you do that? Well, it's impossible to spend a week anywhere in Florida and not spend money. I mean, Florida is one of the most expensive states in the union. So when you're there, you're going to spend money, especially if you're going to have fun or eat dinner. I mean, just eating dinner, you're going to spend a few $100s a week down there. That's eating cheap. I mean, if you eat anything nice, you can spend far more than that. So going down there and not having, and then, they would check with the front desk or get the video and there's no seeing them coming or going or anything. And sometimes you'll see them leave and then not come back for 7 days and they think they just left that day. And then they're fighting with the lady because they're telling you got to check out and shit. There's lots of, what do you mean we got to check out? We just got here yesterday. You've been here 7 days. What kind of drugs you've been doing? So, I mean, but there's a lot of cases like that down there. And we've seen, what's interesting about Pensacola is we, right after Katrina, had a bunch of people come down to go to work from all around the country, even from Canada and Mexico. And we brought a group of 17, 18 down to Navarre Beach, where we were walking in this fog. We were in a fog for 18 hours, a whole bunch of us, two vehicles full. Wow. We get out on the beach in Navarre, and I hear the girls up in front of us screaming, hollering, acting like asses. I'm like, what are y'all up here, getting high or something? You don't see the feet? I'm like, what feet? You don't see the footprints? I'm like, what footprints? So we pick up the pace, to catch up with them because they were walking ahead of us. And as we're catching up, you see these little footprints about yay big just appearing in front of us. So I forgot who it was. One of the guys, I think it was Canuck, ran up fast like he was going to grab something, right? Because he could see it. Then the prints just disappeared. So we catch up with the girls. We're talking to them. We go sit in the gazebo, big, massive gazebo right next to Eglin Air Force Base. We're like literally 50 feet from the fence. So we're sitting there all having a good time talking. And I hear Mike go, what the? And then you see this light in the hallway just gets like intense, like an LED. I mean, it's just intense. And you see this little 3-foot gray come bebopping out of it. Like,
hey,
he just looks, he looks over at everybody. And then he just goes up the damn big post like a roach. Just scurries up the thing, gets inside the top of it. Because we're all like, no, we're hallucinating. Somebody sprayed some kind of shit out here or something. We're hallucinating. And then all of a sudden, I hear Mike screaming. He just disappears. He comes back down. All the lights go up. It's black. Next thing I remember, it's 9 a.m. and we're standing in a whole different area in Blue Mountain Beach, 80 miles away, in a circle, in the middle of the fog. There's no fog around the circle we're standing in, but everywhere else there's fog around us. You couldn't even see the cars. Car wasn't even hot when we touched it. Motor wasn't even warm. It was, like I said, there's 18 of us. So there's so many witnesses. We were there tonight. They were surfing. We call them the surfing aliens. There was 15 of us there that night. They were doing abductions. We had got a tip that we might be able, from some contactees, an experiment we ran. We got a tip that they might be doing some abductions on Pensacola Beach. So we took a group out there to see what we could find out and got to witness it. It was what we do is we take contactees, like 50 at a time. We'll send them all a question via email. They don't know each other. So, whatever the question may be, like what the blue plasma is. So what you do is you get them, they start repeating this question all the time to themselves, every night, every day, until they get taken. When they get taken, it's telepathic. They're thinking about this question. So if it's a gray reptilian or a human, that question is going to get transmitted. And a lot of times these aliens ask without realizing because they're telepathic. So it's just like a conversation to them. They just answer. Now, sometimes there's consequences for it. Every once in a while, there is consequences for it. But for the most part, there's not. And in a lot of ways, they kind of even act like proud parents. Like, wow, look, they got a telepathic message. But we do find out things like that. And the reason we do it that way is because it's a blind study. So we send out 50. And if I get 50 responses back of the same, then I know we got something. Even if we get 40 back the same, we know we got something. Because we know that no one else they don't know each other. So they didn't know about the question and no one else knows about the question. So it's just a control group and the contactees. And it's a good way of getting information because we know there's a solid contactees that are taken regular. It's about 300 all together we use, and it works really well. That's how we found out what the blue plasma was. That's how we found out about quite a few things. Why the Holocaust dream is so embedded in so many contactees. 1/3 of all contactees have the Holocaust dream. So you got to wonder about stuff like that. And the more research I do, the more things I find, and the more I wonder what the hell. Because nothing's clear. As far as I can tell, they're not here to save us, and they're not here to eat us.
Oh, jeez.
So what the hell? Yeah. Well, so what are they here for? I mean, they're not going to kill us because they could have done that a long time ago, and they're not here to save us. They're not here to enlighten us. So what the hell are they here for?
Maybe just like experiments or something. You know?
And then they've been here as long as they have been. How many more experiments can they do? I mean, shit's got to be old by now.
Well,
I'm just saying
maybe because we're evolving. You know, they have different things like on their agenda to see how it's going to play out. You know, it might take a lot of years. I don't know.
Well, I figure if the Sumerian stories are true and that we contain all three of these races' DNA, yeah, I figure they have a vested interest in keeping an eye on us. Right now, we're probably harmless to them, but 500 million years from now, that might be a whole different thing. We might turn into light beams or something, start zapping them out of existence. So, they might want to keep an eye on us. I mean, because they have. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say something I always think about is like, I wonder how like their technology is with like building things, like building their ships and stuff, because like from welding and everything, I see how that all works out with the metal. Like,
see, I'm glad you asked that question because in the old days we always thought the Greys were the least advanced. Come to find out, they're the most advanced, at least out of the ones visiting. And they grow their ships. They're grown.
Oh.
And they're sentient. They're not grown and not sentient. They actually communicate with the Greys. We tried to get more information on this on several times, but the Greys got really pissed about it. But it seemed like that because the Greys meld with their ships. When they're flying, there's usually three of them, and they got this little section they get in, and then when they sit in it, they become part of the ship. Them and the ship merge together, so they must possess the same DNA. So more than likely, these ships are probably designed for particular, families or particular groups or whatever they may be, or the ship can adapt either way. But somehow or another can identify the DNA because when you hear contactees talk about being on board them, so they put them in a room, light seems to illuminate from the floors, the walls, the ceiling. There's no real light fixtures of any kind. There's no fixtures of anything. When you walk into the room, you see this what looks like bubbling water coming off the floor. It gets up so high and then it stretches out like a table and it stops. And then when they put the contactee on him, all of this, it just engulfs the contactee. It completely covers them. I guess you can still breathe because they say it goes in your mouth, your nose, your ears, everywhere. And but obviously you can still breathe. So you're encased in this stuff. And then you start seeing a movement on the wall and it starts getting bigger. And then it's like a tube comes out of the wall until it gets to you. And then it starts forming into different instruments. And the first set, every orifice in your head, your face, your mouth, nose, whatever, it instantly goes into all of them. And then they do other stuff where they're taking other samples and stuff, and then everything goes back in and disappears, and the room is completely smooth again. They talk about on the big ships, on all three of the races, big ships, that when you go into one of the guest quarters, the rooms are just square boxes, and whatever you think is what the room manifests. Whatever kind of sink, whatever kind of bed, whatever kind of food, it manifested for you. And that's technology we're working on, but we're a long ways from it yet. I mean, we're just now starting to work on teleportation, and we're a good ways from that yet. I mean, we've done teleportation, but none of anything consequence. The only thing we've really teleported is data, and I think the longest now is 40 kilometers. Or so that would be about 20
Hey,
miles.
Joe, whenever you had when you had that UFO experience, did you see any Men in Black?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. It's funny because if I tell you the whole story, I wasn't going to tell you because I don't want to take all y'all's time. But what happened under the hypnosis? This is my wife's account. And then later on, when I was hypnotized, I could reinforce it. But so when we seen these guys come running off the beach and this thing coming on, that's what we seen. At the same time, there was looked like a doorway opened up in the water in the Gulf, and these two grays come walking out, along with 10 or 12 guys dressed in black. Now, I don't want to call them Men in Black, but they were black shoes, black pants, black shirts, black hats, black duck, everything. They probably like DEA, Special Forces, Special Ops. All I remember is because I was Special Forces, is I just started slinging people. I was taking people out left and right. And I still remember this. It was two guys jumped on each arm and two guys grabbed my legs. And they didn't try to fight me down. They just tried to weigh me down. So I would stop moving. And then something walked in front of me. I want to say it was a gray. I can't honestly be sure what it was. And I just remember my whole body went limp. But I was still conscious. I remember being moved along. Wow. I had no function of anything. It was like somebody just shot me with some really good drugs, man. I was just like, wow. What
anesthesia.
Yeah. And it was the whole experience was strange. And because I was pissed because I remember seeing them grab my kid, and that's when I lost it. Because at the moment when they first walked up on the sides of me, I was kind of like, what's this all about? And then I heard my kid is what happened. When I looked over, I seen one of them grab my kid, and I just lost my mind. I remember I dropped two of them before they even knew what the hell hit them. And they didn't get back up for a while, so I don't even know when they got back up because they didn't get up while I was there. I mean, I was only a year and a half out of the Navy at the time, man.
Night.
That was 200 pounds of just solid rock muscle and well trained too. I was like, Jesus. And the bad part about Special Forces training is you don't think about it, but it's reflex. So many things are just reflex. Because I was in the kitchen one day cooking at one of my house in Metairie, and this is 20 years since I was out to service. I'm in there cooking, doing it, and my friend's son, he's a big boy, come up behind me and slipped his arms up and was going to loop. And before I realized it, I had spun around, grabbed him by the throat, and slid him up to freaking cabinets. And I was like, Jesus, Jason, I let him go. I said, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize that he was horrified and impressed. Because the kid weighs about 200 pounds. He was like, Jesus. He told my son, he's like, your dad's badass. He's like, but it's reflex is what it is. It's nothing more than, and they teach you that way, and they drill that shit into your head, reflex. And that's when I realized, I said, you know what? I said, now I got all my training on, guess what? And they're like, wait, what you want to do now? I said, I'm going to be a tech. What? I said, yep. I said, I'm going to give you a bachelor's in electronics and go get something I can have a career with. Because while this training was going on, I was getting offers. I got an offer from the NYPD. I got an offer from the New York PD to be a sniper. And because I got my marksman, sharpshooters, and snipers badge while I was in. I was 20 for 20 on 4 different rifles at 3 different ranges, 100 yards, 300 yards, and 500 yards. I could kill you easy, but I ain't thinking about it, man. Pow! Wouldn't even hit a bullet. You'd just be dead. You mean, what happened? You'd be falling down going, I didn't hear nothing. Then you hit a bullet. Jeez. Hit the ground. Oh, it's crazy, man. But yeah, for some reason, I didn't have the killer instinct, I guess. I didn't want to be a killer. I wanted to be something else in life. Didn't seem like it wanted to be my career.
So do you still have like reflexes like that? Like to this day?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, even today. You got to watch it. It's and today I'm actually bigger and a little stronger than I was back then. So it's a weird thing, man. Because one day I was playing around. One day I was toting these 5-gallon buckets up and down these stairs, and one of the guys did something. I spun around. And I had one in each hand, and I just spun around with both of them swinging. He's like, Jesus Christ, you picked up both of them, just swung them at me. I was like, I said, that's because you're this big, man. That's why you little bitty thing.
But here, let's have a cup of coffee and talk about it. Settle down.
It's one of my favorite stories is right after 9/11. I'm working this building. It's a 20-plex, and we're putting the roof on. And I had 20 guys up there working on this building. And I had meetings that day, so I'm all decked out, Usually I'm in work clothes, blue jeans, T-shirt, boots, anything that can get dirty or ruined, because you're going to get dirty on these job sites. So I'm sitting up there, la, 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 la. And this gray SUV pulls up. with these really dark tinted windows. These two guys get out looking like they're wearing gray Armani suits. Beautiful. You can tell these are high dollar suits. And he's doing this number, pointing up at the building and doing this. I'm looking at these guys going, all right, who gets in trouble with the Fed? I said, somebody up here is in trouble with the Fed. What did y'all do? Oh, no, Mr. Joe, there ain't none of us in trouble. We're telling you, Mr. Joe, nobody's in trouble. I said, man, I said, yeah, some of y'all illegal or something? I said, what's going on here? And no. So I'm pointing at all these different guys, and he's shaking his head. So I point at me, and he goes, I'm like, oh, shit, I'm in trouble. So I come down the ladder. My whole crew's like, we're coming down with you. I said, no, you bitches stay up here on the ladders. Don't you come down this ladder. I said, unless they come taking me off, you stay up on this ladder. And so I start walking up. And as I'm walking up, the guy unbuttons the one button. He's got a button on his jacket, takes one finger and puts it back over his 45 so I can see it. And I'm like, okay, you got a gun. So now I'm thinking Cobb, DEA, something like that. I'm thinking, well, I ain't done nothing. I'm still worried about this. I get up there. He goes, Mr. Montaldo, we really like what you did. We didn't appreciate you talking about the alien agenda with Alfred Weber, and that's why we shut down. But we really like what you do. He said, we want you sharing information, and we want you to be part of this. He said, but I'm only going to tell you this one time. Don't talk about the alien agenda in the way that you know it. It's a quote. And I looked at him like, yeah, whatever. And then he went to commencing to tell me where my son was and where my wife was and what both of them were doing. So he said, you don't believe me? He said, call your wife while you're standing here. And I'm like, I didn't have to because I knew where my wife was and what the hell she was doing. So I was like, so he said, y'all do a lot of road trips. You go to Florida a lot. You go to Alabama a lot. You go to D.C. a lot. Anywhere along that line, you could fall off a bridge, fall into a ditch. 18-wheeler could run you over. Nobody would question it. He drove his point home very eloquently.
Yeah, that would definitely make an impact.
We left the alien agenda alone for about 10 years after that. It was kind of like, okay. But it was weird because we had seen them time after that. And from time to time, they would even send us stuff or call into the show and give us stuff. So it wasn't that they were just wanting to hate. They just didn't. Alfred Weber and I got into what I personally thought the alien agenda was going to be, or at least part of the alien agenda, because it's way bigger than it sounds. But and they just didn't like it. So obviously that part is either true or close to true, which was a confirmation for me. That was kind of nice. And later on, about 12, 14 years later, I found out that a good chunk of it was told to be true. But when I met Senator McDonald, he got me some information. But he only got it because he called us because he had a UFO sighting. This guy's in charge of the intelligence committee for the U.S. government. 25-year incumbent calls the organization because he can't find out what a black triangle is.
What's your organization?
International Community for Alien Research. Why
don't you send me a link to that?
I will. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to have somebody redo it. We're in the middle of two things right now. Restructuring all the directors because, people get burnt out, and since most of them are friends of mine, I don't want to be mean to them, but sometimes you gotta move people.
I left MUFON because I can't stand it anymore.
I can't either, but I left MUFON because MUFON became the black hole of Calcutta. You'd send them data and never get nothing back. You go looking for the data.
They're a bunch of monkeys. I don't know what you want to call them, like ding-dongs.
They are. They can't. And people didn't realize it, but like John Schuessler was back. He had many black ops ties. He worked for a couple of companies that were tied in big. Cliff Clifford worked, and so was what's his name? Not the last guy. With the exception of Walt Anders, the three directors. The one that was with Bigelow's group, the one that gave Bigelow his money back and said, "I don't have anything."
Oh no, I just know the director was.
It was James Cameron, John Schlussler, and the other guy, and the old guy. Those three guys all had black. James Cameron was a black ops. He was a code breaker. The other guy, Cliff Clifford, he was black ops tied too. So you had three heads of MUFON that had black ops ties. I just didn't like that. That to me stank to high heaven. That sounds like infiltration to me. You've been taken over by the government. Plus, they never want to talk about the government. They never want to talk about military abductions. Ever. They don't even like it. It took 20 years. The only reason they even got a star team is because ICAR was kicking them out of existence. I had turned so many big ufologists on them. Got a good friend of mine who passed away a couple of years ago. D. Andrew called me and said, Joe, it's Walt Anders' organization. Don't destroy it. He said, you've all but put the stake in their heart, man. And I did. I had big name ufologists come on the show talking about how crappy the organization was and how you couldn't trust them. And then Elaine Douglas came out hard on him, and a couple of other directors came out hard on him. And then Bigelow came out and said, "What did you do with my money? Why didn't I get any research? What is going on with this?" And then that's how I met Bigelow's assistant. And she's a good friend of mine. I'm still pushing her to get me an interview with Bigelow and Elon Musk. I've interviewed Michio Keiko and Neil. I've interviewed a lot of people, but I haven't got them to yet. And I'd like to get them under my belt just to say I've interviewed.
What special forces? What branch of the military?
SEALs. Navy SEAL.
Navy. How long were you in the Navy?
Altogether 6 years, but I only stayed in special forces for the first 18 months, and then I went back to tech school.
Where were you stationed?
Stationed there. Originally, I was stationed in San Diego.
My good friend, you probably won't know him. He was a commander. He lives in Georgia now.
A nice place to go and retire. Georgia's a pretty state. Even though it's a blue state now, which I'm not going to say nothing about. I told my sister she had to move to blank out that blue-ass state. But there is hope, people. I didn't realize this until the last political show I did, but we almost flipped New York. 45% voted red in New York in the last election. For Trump, no less. Wow. If that would have been a better candidate, they might have flipped it. And now that they've lost another 2 million citizens to Virginia and Georgia, it's the next election. They have a big time. They said they did a poll the other day. The New York Times did it and found out that Donald Trump could be mayor if he wanted to be.
You think it would do it?
I don't know. He could be governor if he wanted to be. I just don't know if he will or not. It's hard to step down from president to mayor in New York, even though it'd be a lot of fun just to piss everybody off.
Can he be a governor?
Yeah, he can. He can be whatever he wants.
I didn't know you could do that after you were a president.
I always wondered about that because there's some rule about why presidents don't talk about each other when they get out of office. They must consider it like treason or something because I guess it's trying to like undermine the presidency or something. And I don't know if they would be okay with him being because he gets, thanks to Obama, from George Bush Ford, get lifetime security forever. See, I always thought presidents got lifetime security. I didn't find out until Obama did it that they didn't.
They don't get pension?
They got everything. They got pension, but they only had the security for 10 years, and then it went away. I guess it felt like the president wasn't relative anymore after 10 years. But now, thanks to the Emperor Obama, we had now they got it for life. He is the emperor. Most presidents are emperors. Biden's definitely an emperor. Christopher, Trump might have been an emperor. He's just a different kind of emperor. He was a people's emperor. And the other are politician emperors.
People's king, whatever you call it.
He's just a different kind of guy. All presidents are bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. You don't get to be president of the United States because you're a kind, sweet, loving person. Let's just be honest about it. When you see Biden or any president, don't let me kiss the baby. Don't get off my baby, you demon bastard.
Think about it. A child and say, "Oh, when I grow up, I want to be the president of the United States." Somebody might have.
Evil.
Never crossed my mind.
I don't know anybody, and that's why I say this all the time. Why none of the good people ever want to be president? Why don't the people who can make, like Elon Musk or even Jeff Bezos? Well, not Bill Gates because he's insane, but
they
there
think
are
he's
other
the
people.
Antichrist.
Yeah, he is the Antichrist. But there are other people in our country that are really good that could. And you know what? We need a change. Politicians don't work anymore. Our country's broke. It needs a change. Broke. And the only thing, somebody asked me what was the biggest thing that pissed me off about Trump losing. I said, because he was on the way to disclosure. I said, he's just ordered the Pentagon to dump all kind of information. I said, I didn't give a shit what else he was doing. He was about to find out about aliens. I said, now we're going to get Biden. And Biden wouldn't know what an alien was if it bit him on the ass because it had boobs. And then he might recognize one. Oh, that's a good idea. We put an alien in front of him with boobs and maybe some blonde hair. We might get something.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's that, Carissa? What about Jenny? Yeah, she looks blonde to me. What are you talking about, Red? It doesn't look like Red. It looks blonde. Why are we on her hair? What the hell is this about?
Who's Krista?
She's you think she's possessed by a ghost? No, you doofus. She's got an overlay. Never mind. Your chair keeps popping.
Oh my God.
Overlay.
Oh my.
I knew it.
I'm sorry.
I knew Jenny was possessed.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I've been told that too.
I just thought it was funny. Guys, we still got to have which good. Y'all throw some questions out there. Who? No, you can't ask Jason if he's married. He may not like girls. He might like boys. See, he's married to a boy. See what I told y'all. I knew he was too good looking to be straight. Jason's like, what? Jason's like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on?
Catch me off guard.
It's a dangerous shit. Be careful, son, man. I've been hosting a long time. Okay, now you heard he's married, so go on to another question. Oh, okay. So actually, it's a serious question. So this camp comes in from Christopher, and Christopher is in Ithaca, New York. Well, you're up there by Michael Langley then. He wanted to know if any of y'all ever felt a possession or something like a possession, maybe not like a whole possession, but like if it passed through you or you could feel it in you or around you.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Shawn's still possessed. Okay, I got y'all.
Yeah, he is. The ghost is just getting old in him.
I don't know, people. I keep telling y'all Facebook chat. YouTube chat room, not Facebook. Y'all don't listen to me. What can I say? What's that, Martha? Martha Jones. I got a friend named Martha. I pick on all the time. What is it? Okay. Oh, okay. This is for Jenny. Who's your favorite demon? Like, what do you mean favorite demon? Like, okay. She just want to know who your favorite demon is.
Lilith.
Oh, I've heard Lilith before. We were talking about her just recently. I think the Canadian girls were talking about Lilith.
She's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, actually, whoever parked it in there, John, no, they're not girls. They're women. Yes. It's just a bad habit being from the South. It slips out of my mouth from time to time. It's like saying share and stuff like that. It slips out every once in a while. No, I don't have any girls on my network. I got all women. Actually, I'm sorry, but I do. That girl would be like a 25-year-old Z, maybe. Maybe 30. People aren't as mature as fast today, so somewhere up in there. Dean, what do you got for us, Dean? What? You love Shawn's voice. Are you a girl or a guy?
Shawn's voice.
Are y'all like passing something around in the chat room tonight or something?
He's just real like.
I'm thinking there's like a cloud in this chat room or something.
Shawn Kelly.
Thank you for the compliment.
He's from the Pittsburgh area.
Helen's right, and she says she's from Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh. She said, I'd tell you our name, but you wouldn't have no idea where it was. I might not, but these guys might. And so I'm probably sure I don't have no clue what's in Pennsylvania. I'm not even going to lie about it. But anyway, what's your question? Do you think that the paranormal world and the ufology world are tied together?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I have to say yes, too. I can't tell you how many abductions turned into poltergeists. It's weird. There seems to be a decent amount of poltergeist activity when there's an abduction. Not every abduction, but a lot of them. And there seems to be other things like cloaked, hooded, red-eyed beings that don't sound like aliens to me. They sound like there might be something else watching from another side, or maybe something crossing over. Let's see, who is that? Alyssa is calling from. Where are you calling from, Alyssa? Oh, well, I should say where you're writing in from. Alyssa, you're writing in from Trinity. Oh, Trinity. Oh, well, hello. How you doing there? You on the other side of the damn planet. No, I know what you're talking about outside of Dubai. I know exactly what you're talking about. And welcome to the show, by the way. Anybody, Middle Eastern's always welcome. Yeah, no, I know they call it Trinity, but I only knew that because a friend of mine used to work in Dubai. Yeah, that little section where they go abandon all the Mercedes Benz and people. In case y'all didn't notice, there's a section in Dubai where people they get their car stolen and stuff like Lamborghinis, really high-dollar cars. They just go leave them there. Anybody who gets them, the car belongs to them. I want to move to Dubai tomorrow, people.
It's a good way to get rid of a
I found out
it's a weird
using a
law they got
gangster.
over there. It's
down in South Carolina. I got a friend down there, and it's kind of like that with trailers. Like, say there's no registration for any kind of trailer you pull behind your vehicle. He's like, you could steal it brand new, take it down the street and sell it, and there's nothing that can ever be done about it. I was like, wow.
Yeah, some states don't do that. They don't register trailers for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. What do you mean, Michael? What do you mean? Oh, why are they tied together? Nobody knows why they're tied together. It could be that because when aliens are present, whatever type of craft or energy they use, it might make the veils thin or thinner, especially if in the areas where the veils are already. I don't really know. I mean, there just seems to be some connections to them. It's like sometimes people ask me all the time, is Bigfoot and UFOs connected? Well, sometimes there are Bigfoot reports, but there are also reports of gray saucers hovering over big bodies of water with big schools of dolphins hanging out. And either the Greys use the clicked beaks of their own language, or they know the dolphins' language, one or the other. It's a strange thing. And I don't know why they're not communicating telepathically with the dolphins. They get a bigger brain than we do anyway. Is a dolphin an alien? Well, I mean, I guess compared to us, they are. I don't know. They might have been aliens. I mean, dolphins are weird. Dolphins walked on land and went and got back in the water. They came out of the water and got on land, then went back in the water. I'm like, I don't, they're about the same size as us, the same lifespan as us, maybe a little bit longer than ours. They have 2 additional senses we do. They have a bigger brain than we do, and some people do think they're telepathic because of their ability to use echolocation. So I don't know if they are or not. I do know they come up to kids in pools and in areas they seem to befriend man. I've been with wild dolphins on several occasions. They've never gone out of their way to hurt me. You can grab them by the fin, they'll take you a ride, and they seem to be enjoying it as much as you do. And they seem to be very intuitive. They'll look over at you and stuff. They like to look at you, which creeped me out the very first time the dolphin rolled us in. Mighty, how are you? I'm like, oh, shit.
Like, damn,
it's a little freaky, man. And they've been known in Florida to run into people when sharks are patrolling the area, to spook the sharks and to spook the people. So they go out of their way to save humans. They've been known to ride waves to show people there's reefs there to make the boats. And many, many sailors have talked about that throughout history. So dolphins, for some reason, the only 2 animals that ever befriended man were dolphins and dogs. And of course, dog is just God spelled backwards. So,
absolutely.
So and then there's dolphins. So dolphins seem to be very intelligent, and they like us. And whales are very intelligent, but they seem to not like us as much. they don't got a way to kill us or nothing, but they're not real happy with the way humans have treated them. Let's just be honest about it. So we're in a weird, precarious place. And I tell people all the time, we may not be the smartest thing on the planet. And just because dolphins don't have physical technology does not mean they're not as old or more advanced than we are. They may, because let's be honest, they rule 80% of the world. We only, 78% of the world. We only got the little 22% of the land. They got everything else. They got rivers, lakes, oceans. So if you're going to be the thriving populous species on the planet, wouldn't you want to occupy the majority of the planet, not the minority?
Yeah,
it's
it
like
makes
we
sense.
just came along. And dolphins are way older than we are. I think 150, maybe 200 million years older than we are.
I wonder how they've evolved. Like, what did they look like that long ago?
They have little feet.
I've seen pictures of them, but it's kind of strange. Just like the first time I seen that little horse thingy that made big horses. I'm like, what is that? A horse. I'm like, really? That's what a horse really looked like? I would have thought it would have been bigger, not smaller. I'm just saying.
Pull a horse out of your pocket.
Yeah. And then there's all kind of weird things throughout. I like doing shows on old parts, out of place artifacts. I love doing those shows.
Oh yeah.
Because you find these things that don't belong in our now, because they're either from the future or the past. One of my favorites is the guy found a gear in some lava that's 15 million years old. I'm thinking, really? And how the hell did it get there? And you could tell it formed there because when they broke the lava, you could see the mole imprint on both sides of the lava. And this lava was actually underneath other lava that they dug up. So there was no way anybody counterfeited it or fraudulent unless they were around 15 years. They thought, well, I got this steel gear, which as far as I know, didn't even exist back then, and threw it in the lava. And the fact that the gear didn't melt kind of confuses me a little bit too. Maybe it was not made out of steel, because if it were made out of steel, it would have probably melted. So, you get things like that. There's been batteries found, and, then we found that they were electroplating gold 2,000 years ago. Really? Somebody knew what electricity was 2,000 years ago?
I like the crystal skulls.
I like them too. They're interesting. Matter of fact, one of my ex-co-hosts who's retired now, John Salvo, him and I got into a heated discussion about the skulls one night on Science and Beyond. But heated is being polite. It's a good show, man. It did like 1.6 million views. I think it did like 800,000 in archive. It was a good show, but it was heated. And that's, people take the wrong idea with the skulls. And as far as they're concerned, all the skulls are fake to an extent. What they mean by that is they were made in the last 100 years or the last 200 years. And they're none older than that. And I just have a problem with that because the Toltecs actually show pictures or hieroglyphs, whatever the hell you call them down there. And so do the Mayans and Incans. So it suggests that these skulls were around much longer. These races were 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. So I'm thinking skulls might have been older, and even if they're only 100 years old, 500 years old, we still can't reproduce that today without using machinery.
Yeah. Well, I know I have them in my second book and in my third book. They have inside the skull, the crystal. It's actually a sensor that they can communicate with the mother planet.
Well, a friend of mine gave me he gave me a really nice. Coming to get you. I had to take it out of my room. It was giving me these weird dreams. It came from Belize.
What was giving you a weird dream?
He gave me, it was a 7-pound crystal skull. It came from
Wow.
Belize.
Maybe it's a real one.
Was it the one full of vodka?
I don't know. I wish it was. It would probably slept better. But no, he gave it to me. He said, no, here. He said, when I have it, he said, I get these weird dreams. And he said, maybe you can interpret these dreams. And it was driving me crazy. I couldn't get any sleep, and I was getting these crazy ass. Reminded me like of there was a movie, one of the Indiana Jones movies when they found the crystal skulls. It was weird because it was like there were scenes out of this movie in this dream. And this was before the movies were so weird about it. I didn't realize until I saw the movie. I'm like, what? It was just weird. And I would swear you'd wake up and it was glowing.
Yeah,
It
it
had
probably
this like
was.
this. I was like, all right, this thing got to go.
Well,
And
if it was a real crystal, a real genuine crystal, you probably were just picking up all the energy, because I know I can't wear crystals because I break them.
Yeah.
They actually break off me.
Well, I'm glad to meet somebody else. I can't wear crystals that crack, and if I wear
Mine
them,
crack.
if I get the natural colored ones, within 6 months, all the color they'll turn white.
There's the Lemurian crystal that I totally can't, because that they believe that was actually from an extraterrestrial. They said it's from the mine in Brazil, but they believe that it was extraterrestrial. And you can actually, there's so much psychic energy on these crystals that you can actually contact the entity. Like it could be, well, they think they're extraterrestrial. So there's like all kind of psychic energy that you can get from. But I can't wear them. They actually, Joe, they break.
No, I know. I know.
Right
I know. I've had them break. I've had them crack in half.
Uh-huh.
I had one when I was studying with Crowley's grandson. It was about yay long, about yay big around. He gave me. It was a fairly heirloom, and he was teaching me magic, and I was like, he said, I'm gonna teach you the way my grandfather taught me and my dad, and I'm like, cool. And we were doing something. It just shattered.
Just shattered.
I was like, what the is this? So he looked at me like, oh man, you got different kind of abilities. He said, we're gonna have to talk about this. And he went into all this stuff. He said, well, I'm gonna retrain you. He said, because he said, you're not gonna be able to use these kind of things. He said, because your body's already overpowered them.
Yep.
He said, what happens is, he said, some people are receivers and some people are senders. And he said, in your case, anytime you grab anything with energy, your body instantly absorbs it. He said, so what's happening is your body's sucking the energy out of the crystals, and then the crystals are just breaking. He said, any flaws or imperfections are revealed and it breaks.
Yeah.
He said, I've seen it before. It's a rare thing.
Wow, but you do that. That's crazy. I thought I was the only one.
Well, and then a friend of mine got me this really high dollar blue crystal. It's a health crystal. He said, so he gives it to me. He said, just wear it. He said, you've been looking tired, just wear it. And it seemed like it was working. One morning I woke up and it looked like milk. There was no color left in it at all.
Oh, really?
So I started asking around. I said, was I sick or something? He said, nobody knows what the hell. Because at first I thought, well, what must have been in cheap dyed crystals, That's what I thought. He said, no, Josh, anything is authentic blue crystal. So when I was in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I was up there, we would do it because there's shitloads of crystal. There's so much crystal up there that people just take big hunks of it and wrap the yards with it. That's how much crystal.
I love crystals. They don't love me.
So when I was up there, I picked up a really nice, really, really deep blue crystal. And I picked up some amethyst. Not amethyst. What's it, purple? Is it amethyst?
Yeah,
anyway,
it's like a purple color.
Yeah.
But I picked up a little bit. I was up there doing a lecture, actually. And I picked it up and so I'm going to bring it home with me. So the lady said, no, let me make you this 18-karat gold chain for it. She said it'll help to keep because I was telling her what happened. She said, it's not going to stop it, but it'll help slow it down. So she did, and I wore them. And then from the time it took us to give the lecture, have dinner, go to bed, get in the car, and drive back to New Orleans, which was only 8 hours, they were milk looking. I actually took a picture and sent it back to the lady. She could not believe what she was seeing. She said, you had them on? I said, yeah.
Yeah.
She said, your body's just sucking them dry. She said, I guess you can't have anything with batteries on them. Huh? You probably sucking it. And you know what? It's true. It's like D batteries and 9-volt batteries. I can't hold them bitches. They did if I did.
Well, do you have the same problem with like electrical equipment?
All abductees and contactees do. In
I
the
got
old
every
days,
time I
I'm
do
not kidding you. In
something.
the old days, I'd get like a friend of mine who had been abducted and stand them in there, and my TV would come in perfect every time. And back before cable, people. Oh yeah, I know you Z-Geners don't know what cable is. I mean, regular
No,
rabbit
seriously, I
ears.
knock out coffee
Rabbit
machines,
ears, yeah.
Yeah.
computers,
Oh
anything
yeah.
electricity. If I stand next to it, I knock it out.
We had to figure out a way to ground my wife. She's killing computers like that with nothing. I
I've
was
got
like,
over the last couple of months, I've had lights like going out and flickering everywhere I go. It's
that's
been
because
pretty crazy.
you're probably at prime age for them, so you're probably being taken a lot.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they got you. They got
If you've
your,
got kids, they probably
Yeah,
take kids. You know, they probably take you and your kids on a regular basis if you got kids. If you're not, they're not. And as far as your other half, it just depends if they're a contactee or not, or abductee. We only call them contactees if they willingly know. But because a lot of times it's couples, a lot of times contactees find each other. It seems more and more as we move forward, they're sending to find each other more often than not. In the old days, it was hard because they would be having these experiences, and their husband or wife would be like, "You're fucking crazy. Ain't no such thing as aliens. I want a divorce." That was a common thing back in the day, but not so much now. People are finding each other, which I'm glad to see. And contactees that get married to each other stay married to each other. Once they find each other, they are like, man,
I need to find an abductee.
Yeah, they once they find each other, they do. And you know what I find weird too? And I know we got to go in a minute, but sometimes they build these relationships on board these ships, and when they meet each other, they're stunned, like, "Wow, I've seen you before," and they'll start talking to each other and talking about clothes they wore and conversations they had, and stuff starts coming back, and they're like, "Wow, okay, that's just weird." It is, but guys, I'm gonna let y'all get out of here because I know the girls will be on me in a minute. They vicious in Canadian. I don't want to get locked in a cage. Look, in case y'all didn't know, these women locked their men up in cages up there.
Oh my goodness!
We actually started the fund to free the Canadian men fund. I mean, it's bad, man. They keep them locked down.
Feeding French fries with gravy.
I try to get Michelle. Let me see hers all the time. She keeps his ass locked down like whoosh. I don't know what that is. I ain't even asking Amelia, man. She just scares me because Bubbles the Great scares me, so I ain't messing with her, man. I'm like, just. And I already know Laura Lee loves it. She talks about it all the time. Yeah, I keep him locked down, that bastard. I'm like, Laura, you think you listen, I love you, baby. Before they go locking me down. But guys, I appreciate y'all coming and hanging out.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Oh no, we had a great audience tonight. So
it was fun.
Y'all be sure to come by and check out Chasing Prophecies on Thursdays. Yes, I know. I always want to say Chasing the Truth because we have two chasings on the network.
I know him.
It confuses me some days. Actually, I haven't talked to Shawn in a while. I want to get Shawn a call. See how he's been.
Yeah, I was on his show.
Yeah, Shawn's a lot of fun. He cracks me up some days.
He's the one that told me about you.
Yeah, he does pretty good, and he's on Dark Waters Entertainment. He's on our network too, guys, on Saturdays. But he's also on Dark Waters Entertainment if you're in the New Orleans local area. But he's out of the Carolinas, I believe. But y'all can catch Jason, Shawn, and Jenny on Thursdays from 6 to 7. I know, Chris, they don't do it long in the show. I know it goes fast. Hours go quick, man. Especially when you got 3 hosts. It's like boom, 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 lickety, splickety, they gone.
Yeah.
Oh, look, 2 hours goes pretty fast. I mean, look, guys, we've been on here. It's 2 hours. But anyway, we got to get out of here. I want to thank all 3 of y'all for coming and hanging out tonight.
Yes, thank you, man.
Thank you, Joe.
Y'all don't forget, coming up next is the Outer Realm. Them some strange people on that show. I'm just saying. This is only the second show I've let behind this one since I've had this network. So y'all, that tells y'all something about them. But again, thanks for tuning in. United Public Radio and UFO Undercover. And until next week, have some fun. Enjoy your lives. Slap your kids. It won't hurt. No, I'm just teasing. Good night, everybody. Them little heathens.